The Tesla showroom was bathed in a cool, futuristic glow, every corner lit by sleek, eco-friendly bulbs that seemed to hum with innovation. The air buzzed with excitement as journalists, influencers, and curious pet owners filled the space, their chatter a low rumble beneath the faint strains of ambient techno music. In the center of it all stood Elon Musk, a mischievous grin stretching across his face as he held the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice effortlessly commanding the room, "and of course, your furry companions. Today, Tesla ventures into uncharted territory. We've revolutionized transportation for humans. Now, it's time to do the same for pets." A dramatic drumroll, pre-recorded, no doubt, rolled through the showroom as a sleek vehicle slid onto the stage. It was a Tesla, unmistakably, but smaller, friendlier. The windows were lower, the seats more compact, and the controls, paw-shaped. "We call it the Tesla pet model," Elon continued, his grin widening as gasps rippled through the crowd. "A self-driving car designed exclusively for our beloved animal friends. Fully autonomous, completely safe, and yes, even equipped with a paw-friendly horn." Barron, standing near the back of the room, sighed and adjusted the strap of his worn leather bag. A seasoned journalist with graying hair and a perpetually furrowed brow, he wasn't exactly thrilled about his latest assignment. Covering a Tesla product launch wasn't his idea of hard-hitting journalism. And the fact that he'd been told to bring his cat, Whiskers, along for the ride only made it worse. Whiskers, a grumpy tabby with a perpetually sour expression, sat in a carrier at Barron's feet, glaring at the world through the mesh. As Elon unveiled the car's features, a built-in treat dispenser, automated litter stops, even a bark translator app for dogs, the cat let out a low, disgruntled meow. "I know, buddy," Barron muttered, crouching down to peer at Whiskers. "I don't want to be here either." The crowd erupted into applause as a golden retriever was brought on stage to demonstrate the car's capabilities. The dog barked excitedly, its tail wagging as it pawed at the controls. The Tesla purred to life, rolling forward smoothly and stopping on command. Elon beamed as the audience laughed and cheered. "Now, who's ready to let their pets take the wheel?" Elon asked, raising his arms theatrically. Barron rolled his eyes, but before he could retreat to the exit, a PR assistant approached him. "Mr. Slate," she said brightly, glancing at Whiskers' carrier, "we'd love for you and your cat to try it out. It's part of the full experience for journalists." "I'm good, thanks," Barron began, but the assistant was already unzipping the carrier. Whiskers, sensing freedom, leapt out and onto the demonstration Tesla. He sniffed around, his tail twitching, and then, to Barron's horror, placed a paw squarely on the horn. A loud honk reverberated through the room. Then another. And another. Whiskers, delighted by the noise, began pawing at the horn with renewed enthusiasm. The crowd burst into laughter. Phones came out, capturing videos of the grumpy tabby who had, in an instant, stolen the show. Elon Musk chuckled, pointing at the car. "Looks like we've got our first feline driver," he said, his voice carrying over the cacophony of honks and laughter. Barron groaned, rubbing his temples. He had a sinking feeling this assignment was about to become far more complicated than he'd anticipated. Back at his modest home, Barron stood in the kitchen, staring at the glossy Tesla pet model brochure. Whiskers sat nearby on the counter, swishing his tail back and forth as if waiting for Barron to crack. The cat had been unusually energetic since the showroom, meowing insistently and pawing at the counter where the brochure lay. "I don't know what you're so excited about," Barron muttered, flipping the brochure shut. "It's not like you've got places to be." Whiskers let out a defiant meow and swatted at the edge of the brochure, sending it fluttering to the floor. Barron sighed, running a hand through his thinning hair. "This is ridiculous. A car for pets? Who comes up with this stuff?" He glanced at Whiskers, who was now staring at him with unnerving focus, as if daring him to follow through. "You think this'll make a good story?" he asked, his tone dripping with sarcasm. Man bonds with his cat over a luxury vehicle? Pulitzer-worthy, right? Whiskers tilted his head, his eyes narrowing. Fine, Barron grumbled, grabbing his keys. We'll test it. Once. But if this turns into a disaster, you're to blame. Whiskers hopped down from the counter, brushing against Barron's legs with a triumphant purr. The Tesla dealership was quieter this time, the buzz of the grand reveal replaced with the hum of test vehicles and the murmur of curious pet owners. Barron parked his car and carried Whiskers into the lot, where an attendant greeted him with a smile. Welcome back. Ready to let Whiskers take the wheel? The attendant asked cheerfully. Thrilled, Barron said dryly, setting Whiskers down on the passenger seat of the demonstration Tesla. The car's AI system chirped to life. Welcome, Whiskers. Ready to drive? Whiskers immediately placed a paw on the touchpad. The car's engine purred softly as it eased forward, steering itself toward a preset route. Barron sat in the back, watching with a mix of disbelief and reluctant fascination as Whiskers explored the controls. The Tesla slowed to a stop near a park. A small paw-friendly button on the dashboard lit up, labeled with a cartoon horn. Whiskers stared at it, his tail twitching. Don't you dare, Barron muttered. Honk. Whiskers' ears perked up, and he pawed the button again. Honk. Honk. Nearby, children playing in the park began laughing and pointing at the car. Whiskers seemed delighted by the attention, alternating between honking the horn and purring loudly. This isn't happening, Barron groaned, sinking lower into his seat. The car, sensing Whiskers' satisfaction, looped back to the dealership. As Barron stepped out, the attendant beamed. Looks like Whiskers had a great time. He sure did, Barron muttered. Too great. A week later, Barron found himself staring out his living room window as Whiskers climbed into the Tesla pet model parked in the driveway. He had caved, partially for the story and partially because Whiskers had refused to stop sitting on the brochure until he gave in. At first, things seemed manageable. The car navigated the quiet suburban streets smoothly, making its programmed stops at pet-friendly parks and scenic routes. But then the honking started. Whiskers had discovered the horn once again, and now, it seemed to be his favorite pastime. He honked at birds, squirrels, delivery trucks, and even the mail carrier. By the third day, Barron's neighbors had started giving him pointed looks. On the fourth day, Mrs. Abernathy from 2 houses down marched up to Barron's front door. Mr. Slate, do you hear that racket your cat is making? She demanded, waving a spatula in the air. It's driving the entire street crazy. Barron sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. He's enthusiastic about the horn, he admitted. Enthusiastic? He's a menace. As if on cue, a loud honk 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 echoed from the driveway. Barron peeked out the window to see Whiskers pawing at the horn with gleeful abandon. I'll talk to him, Barron said, though he doubted the cat would listen. Mrs. Abernathy scowled and stormed off, muttering about noise ordinances. Barron slumped against the door, staring at Whiskers through the window. The cat, oblivious to the growing tension in the neighborhood, honked twice more, then curled up on the driver's seat, looking smug. Barron groaned. This was getting out of hand. The following week, Barron was beginning to feel the full weight of his decision to buy the Tesla pet model. The honking had become an unavoidable daily occurrence, and his neighbors were no longer whispering in passing, they were openly complaining, texting him about the noise, even holding informal meetings on their front lawns to discuss the Whiskers situation. Barron was just about to take a sip of his coffee when his phone buzzed. It was a notification from Twitter. Breaking news, a tabby drives Tesla, and the internet is losing it. Barron blinked and opened the tweet. A short video clip played, Whiskers sitting in the Tesla, eyes wide with mischief, as the horn blared repeatedly. The caption read, "When your cat takes driving lessons a little too seriously." Hashtag Tesla for Pets. Hashtag Whiskers the driver. The video had already been retweeted over 1,000 times, with hundreds of comments flooding in. Whiskers had gone viral. Barron's stomach sank. Minutes later, his phone buzzed again, this time with a tweet from Elon Musk himself. Proof that Tesla is for every member of the family, even the furry ones. Whiskers, you're a pioneer. Hashtag feline innovation. Barron slammed the phone down onto the kitchen counter. This can't be happening, he muttered. But it was. The video was all over social media, and soon, Barron's inbox was full of messages from reporters and curious fans, all asking about his cat's newfound fame. A few even offered to come over for interviews. A knock on the door startled him. Barron opened it to find a reporter from the local news station, microphone in hand. "Mr. Slate," she said, smiling brightly, "can we get a quick interview about Whiskers and his Tesla adventures?" Barron sighed. "It's just a car for cats." The reporter didn't hear him. "Do you think Whiskers is a trailblazer for pet-friendly technology?" she asked eagerly. Barron glanced at his cat, who was lounging in the driver's seat of the Tesla, looking utterly content. Whiskers let out a loud meow and honked the horn twice. "I guess he is," Barron muttered. "Against my will, but sure, why not?" It wasn't long before Barron's once quiet neighborhood was transformed into a battleground of honking horns and barking dogs. Whiskers was no longer the only celebrity cat with a Tesla. It seemed that every pet owner in town had caught the Tesla for Pets bug. One evening, Barron sat on his porch, nursing a drink, watching the chaos unfold. A golden retriever was driving a Tesla, its tail wagging excitedly as it honked at passing pedestrians. Across the street, a pair of mischievous Siamese cats were perched in the back seat of another Tesla, pawing at their horn. The sound of honking echoed in every direction. Honk 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 from one Tesla, bark 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 from a nearby dog, and the constant hum of tires on pavement. Barron rubbed his temples. The streets had become a war zone. Just then, his neighbor Dave, an avid birdwatcher, stomped up the driveway. "Enough. I can't take it anymore," he shouted. "Your damn cat is driving me insane. Do you know how many birds I've missed because of the constant honking?" Barron sighed. "Look, I get it, but what do you want me to do? It's just a car for pets." Dave threw his hands up. "And that's the problem. These cars are everywhere now. They're a menace." Whiskers, as if on cue, honked loudly from the Tesla. Dave's eye twitched. "I'm calling the city," Dave growled, stomping away. Barron watched him leave, then looked down at Whiskers, who seemed blissfully unaware of the escalating situation. He had been honking all day, and now, he was taking a nap in the driver's seat, his paws draped lazily over the wheel. "This is all your fault," Barron muttered, though he couldn't help but chuckle a little. Whiskers meowed softly, as if in agreement, before curling up into a ball. The honking outside continued, and Barron knew that it was only a matter of time before the situation got even worse. A week passed, and Barron was at his wits' end. The constant honking had become unbearable. His neighbors were on edge, the local news had caught wind of the chaos, and Barron had become an unwilling local celebrity. His phone buzzed with yet another tweet. This time, it was a video of Whiskers in his Tesla, the cat seemingly driving through a parade of confused pedestrians. "I'm losing my mind," Barron muttered, collapsing into his couch. Whiskers, of course, was right there beside him, contentedly purring. The cat's soft purring felt almost like a mocking reminder of the calm Barron once had before Tesla for Pets entered his life. "You think this is funny?" Barron asked, glaring at Whiskers, who blinked slowly in response. "You've turned my world upside down." Whiskers meowed softly, as if offering an apology. Barron's irritation melted slightly, but his frustration remained. He'd tried everything, talking to neighbors, hiding the car, even putting Whiskers on a leash so he couldn't reach the horn. Nothing worked. As if sensing his distress, Whiskers stood and padded over to the Tesla. He pawed at the door, giving Barron a pointed look. "You want me to take you for a drive?" Barron asked incredulously. Whiskers meowed insistently, pawing the car door again. Barron rubbed his temples, exhausted. "I can't even believe I'm asking this," he muttered, "but fine. One more drive. And if you honk one more time." Whiskers settled into the passenger seat, his eyes gleaming with mischief. Barron opened the door with a resigned sigh. "Let's just get this over with." As Barron slid into the driver's seat, Whiskers leaned over, his paw making a beeline for the horn. "Not today," Barron growled, reaching over to disable the horn function. But as his hand hovered over the button, something strange happened. Whiskers paused, then looked up at him, purring softly, as if understanding. Maybe it wasn't just about the honking. Maybe it was something more. The next morning, Barron sat at his kitchen table, staring at his laptop screen. The email drafts on his computer were scattered, each one a failed attempt to explain his predicament to Tesla's customer service. He had started the emails with polite words, "I need help, a solution, my cat's honking problem," but after the fourth attempt, the words began to feel absurd. Finally, he gave up and just wrote it as he felt it. Subject: Whiskers the cat and the Tesla horn, please fix this. He clicked send. Later that afternoon, as he sat on the couch, Barron's phone buzzed. It was a response from Tesla's customer support team. He had expected a generic reply, something about how Tesla's advanced AI was working as intended, but instead, the message read: "Dear Mr. Slate, thank you for your feedback. We've reviewed your situation and are truly sorry for the inconvenience. We're excited to let you know that Elon Musk himself has seen Whiskers' viral video and would like to invite you to Tesla HQ for a meeting. We believe a solution is possible, and we'd like to work with you to improve the Tesla pet model for future customers. Best. Tesla Customer Support Team." Barron stared at the message for a long time. Elon Musk himself? Barron shook his head, incredulous. But at this point, he had nothing left to lose. Whiskers hopped up onto his lap, pawing at the screen as if to say, "This is happening." A week later, Barron and Whiskers stood in the shiny lobby of Tesla's headquarters. The building was a gleaming monument to innovation, walls lined with high-tech displays showcasing the latest advancements in electric vehicles and artificial intelligence. Elon Musk himself greeted them at the entrance, his trademark grin wide. "Mr. Slate. Whiskers. It's a pleasure to meet you both in person." Whiskers, ever the diva, gave a brief meow of acknowledgement and pawed at Elon's pant leg. "Whiskers, the real star of the show," Elon said, laughing. "We've been watching the videos, and let me tell you, you've created quite the revolution here." Barron raised an eyebrow, not sure if Elon was joking or if he genuinely thought this was a breakthrough moment. After a quick tour of the facility, they arrived at a testing area, where engineers were already working on modifications to the Tesla pet model. One of them showed Barron a small tablet. "We've come up with a solution," the engineer explained. "It's a quiet mode for pets. The horn will only activate and the car senses a real emergency or when a pet attempts to use it intentionally in a way that disrupts the neighborhood." Barron could hardly believe his ears. "You're really doing this?" Elon nodded, stepping forward with a gleam in his eye. "It's the next step in the evolution of the Tesla pet model. And frankly, it's about time someone solved the honking problem. Whiskers is a hero." Whiskers, apparently satisfied with the attention, stepped onto the car's dashboard and gave a single, dignified honk. But the sound was muffled, almost a whisper. "Perfect," Barron muttered, half amused, half relieved. Elon clapped Barron on the back. "You'll be the first to get the update. And I think this is going to change everything for our furry friends. Quiet drives, happy pets, and most importantly, happy neighbors. Barron couldn't help but grin, the weight of his worries lifting. This was the solution he'd been waiting for. He finally understood, it wasn't about controlling Whiskers or the car. It was about adapting to the unexpected joys and frustrations of being a pet owner, and learning to find balance. Back home, the neighborhood was eerily quiet for the first time in weeks. Barron stood in his driveway, watching Whiskers, who had once again taken his place behind the wheel of the Tesla pet model. This time, there was no honking, no chaos. Whiskers sat comfortably in the passenger seat, his paws on the armrest, content and serene. Barron had activated the new quiet mode, and the Tesla purred smoothly down the street. As they made their way through the neighborhood, Barron saw the familiar faces of his neighbors, all of them now waving in approval rather than scowling. Mrs. Abernathy, who had once scolded him for Whiskers' antics, now smiled and gave a thumbs up. "It's working," Barron whispered to Whiskers, who gave a soft, almost smug meow. The car turned into the park, where Barron stopped to let Whiskers stretch his paws on the grass. Whiskers hopped out, took a few slow steps, and then glanced back at Barron. "I never thought this would be my life," Barron mused aloud, leaning against the car. Whiskers gave him a look that seemed to say, "Well, here we are." Barron chuckled softly. His phone buzzed once more, a final reminder that the world had taken notice of the Tesla pet revolution. This time, however, the tone was different. It wasn't chaos anymore. It was peaceful. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow over the park as Whiskers hopped back into the car, now content with his quiet mode drive. Barron closed the door, and as he settled into the driver's seat, he realized that, despite everything, his bond with Whiskers had only grown stronger. He pulled out of the park, the Tesla humming peacefully along the road. In the distance, the neighborhood remained calm. No honking, no disruptions. Just the sound of a quiet evening settling in. And Barron, for the first time in weeks, felt at peace. "Well, Whiskers," he said with a small smile, "I think we've finally figured this out." Whiskers responded with a contented purr, as the car continued to roll quietly down the street.